Blessings and welcome to the Path to Freedom podcast, a weekly and practical podcast with the intention to inspire, empower, and uplift us all to wake up to who and what we are, so that we, that is you and me, may forever allow for greater and grander expressions of that who and what to emerge with ease and grace. My name is Daniel Roquéo, and I'm your host. Blessings and welcome to the Path to Freedom, this wonderful path where we get to continuously wake up to what we are, where we get to continuously allow for ever greater and grander expressions of that who and what to emerge and to well up from within us, to fountain up, to radiate the world, to illuminate the world in such a beautiful way. So welcome to this podcast episode, which is really not only this episode, but this podcast. It is about walking the path to freedom, the path of freedom from my point of view. So this is me sharing my shoes with you, to give an insight as to what it can be like to be walking this path. Oftentimes, I'm not going to say oftentimes, but sometimes when I'm speaking to individuals and they kind of ask me how it is that I get to stay in such a high vibration all of the time, believing that just because I've walked this path for many years, there are no challenges and there is no struggle, and that I'm all about smiles and all of that. And so this podcast actually serves two purposes, I guess. First of all, and I've shared this many times, this is my space where I get to explore myself, where I get to explore my path, and where I get to explore what is happening in me, within my mind, within my body, as I move along this path. So this is a beautiful space for me of exploration, where I get to turn my attention toward things that are happening in my life that I normally do not have the opportunity to turn my attention to, or that I don't give myself the space to explore, because that's really what it's all about. It's not that I don't have the opportunity. I'm not giving myself permission to have that space, but this podcast is providing that space. This is me giving myself permission to have that space. And obviously this is also for anyone tuning in to be inspired, to have insights, to have realizations, because ultimately, even though each and every single one of our paths are different, my path is unique and perfect for me, and your path is unique and perfect for you, and whoever else tunes in. All of our paths are unique and perfect for us as singular individuals, emanations, expressions of God. So the challenges that we come face to face with, they vary and they are different in a sense, but from another perspective, they are not at all different. It all boils down to us having thought patterns or belief systems or opinions or judgments or stories that we buy into, stories about us not being worthy enough, us not being enough, they're not being enough, and ultimately a sense of separation where we tend to see ourselves as separate from spirit, separate from God. So the deeper we dig, the more we realize that the root of all of these challenges, whatever they look like on the surface, whatever they appear to be, they all stem from the same inability to see our absolute oneness with God. Like trees don't have challenges the way we do. A flower doesn't have a challenge the way us humans do. The sea doesn't have challenges in the same way that us humans have. So it's not, challenges are not built into nature, but challenge arises out of the free will that we have been given, the free will to turn our attention toward whatever we want to turn our attention to think about whatever we want to think about. That free will, the gift of independent thinking, that's where the challenges arises. As we get to turn our attention toward the minuscule, let's say, the minuscule appearance of lack. We get to turn our attention toward that, even when there's an abundance of testimonials and evidence of there being only abundance in the universe. But we get to disregard that which is so obvious when we look for it, when we know what to look for. We get to disregard that and turn our attention toward what we think is the truth about reality. It doesn't mean that it is the truth. It just simply means that we believe that it is the truth. So that's what we're looking for. And that's what we ultimately find evidence for. So challenges are not in God. Challenges are in the human consciousness, in the egoic structures of our minds. That's where the challenges arises. When we resist, when we label something, when we have a judgment about something or an opinion about something, that's when the challenges arises. So this podcast actually serves two purposes. It serves me and it serves consciousness, always. The one consciousness. So today we are talking about exactly this. The topic for today is, what are we saying yes to? And this has to do with where we're turning our attention, where we're making choices from, and even more so, what these choices that we are making, what are they moving us toward? Because on any given day, we have so many choices that we are faced with, that we need to make. And some are habitual, some are, unconscious. We just do them because we've always done them. But this episode brings into our awareness, the conversation that we're having today brings into our awareness that every single one of these choices, even though it may seem like a tiny choice, even though it may seem as I'm getting ahead of myself, because we always want to begin with a moment of stillness. So I'm gonna refrain from exploring this further, and I invite us all to bring our attention toward ourselves, toward our hearts, toward our minds, towards that which is within. I invite us to make ourselves comfortable, as we're gonna have a moment of stillness, of silence, meditation, and at the end of the meditation, we're going to have a moment of a brief prayer or evocation. So in this moment, as the meditation music begins to play, I invite us all to make ourselves comfortable. Whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like, but we want to be comfortable as we move into the meditation. I invite us to close our eyes I invite us to bring a smile to our faces, even if we perhaps are faced with challenges that do not elicit smiling. Let's smile anyway. The body doesn't know the difference between a real smile and a fake smile, but what the body does know is that whenever we smile, regardless of whether it's real or fake, the body responds to the muscles being moved in a particular way in our face. And those movements inspire the body to begin to produce and distribute healing and good for the body tonic chemicals that promote not aging, but the opposite of aging, whatever that might be. It slows down the aging process, and it increases and it strengthens the immune system. So a smile is never frivolous. A smile is always healing. It is always a blessing bestowed upon ourselves. So I invite us to keep that smile. And I invite us to gently tap between our eyebrows we've closed our outer eyes, and now it's time to activate our inner eye. First eye, the third eye, the spiritual eye, the divine eye, the pineal gland. There are many names for it, but regardless, it's tap to activate so that we become more open, more prone to catch that which cannot really be caught with our human senses, but only with our spiritual senses. And I invite us to gently repeat the intention for this particular meditation, which today is for us to wake up to who and what we are. So we are waking up. We are becoming increasingly aware. We are expanding our consciousness. We are lifting our vibration. We are releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves. That's why we're sitting here today. So we can release the tapping and invite us to gently put our hands in our lap, palms facing upward, and thumb and middle finger touching as a sign of receptivity. I invite us to turn our attention toward the breath, recognizing, realizing that the breath has 4 stages to it. There's the in-breath, the space between in and out breath, the out-breath, the space between out and in-breath, and that last stage. That's oftentimes where the attention drifts away from the breath. As we have in our minds completed the breath, we sort of let the attention muscles relax, whereupon the attention drifts away. So we want to be very mindful of that last stage, the space between out and in breath. Keeping our attention, not relaxing, being relaxed, but not relaxing our attention, but sustaining our attention on the full breath. Then we also want to be aware that the body is obviously fully capable and able of doing the breathing by itself. With its divine intelligence, it knows exactly when to breathe and how to breathe, how much air to breathe in. So we do not need to participate in the breathing. We do not need to make the breathing happen. But what is ours to do is to merely observe, witness the breathing. And it is that witnessing, that observing the breath, the chest rising and falling, the in flowing in and out, that is what the meditation is. Those moments when we're fully present with the breath. That's meditation. So taking on the feeling tone that all is well. I invite us to give the peace that follows permission to move us deep, deep, deep into the stillness and into the silence. Have that slight smile linger. let our attention drift away from the breath. Let's gently and lovingly turn it back and begin again. Let's come back to the breath and begin again. Let's come back to the breath and begin again. Let's come back and begin again. As I move us into an opening evocation, invite us all to remain with our eyes closed, remain comfortable, remain with our hearts open, our minds open, so that we may catch the vibration of this prayer, giving permission to move us and lift us into an even higher vibration. And so in this moment, being so anchored in the nowness of this moment, how grateful I am to be here. How good it is, how I absolutely love to be on this beautiful path of awakening, this beautiful path of freedom, where I continuously, through practice, get to allow for ever greater and grander expressions of who and what I am to emerge. Allow for the release and let go of that which no longer serves, continuously to be released, to be dissolved, where I get to witness and observe the beautiful healings that are happening with such ease and grace. How grateful I am that I get to continuously go ever deeper and wider and higher into the realization of my absolute oneness with Spirit. That I get to unidentify and unattach myself from the stories of who I am, what is possible, or what is logical, what is plausible, that I get to continuously set myself free, free to soar, free to shine, free to glow in ever greater and grander ways. And how I love this particular podcast. Not only the end result of it, but the space that it opens up. Space of exploration, space of witnessing, a loving space where we get to observe where we are in consciousness. A space free from judgment, space free from opinions and labels, space free from beating ourselves up. Just a simple, plain, loving space, healing space. And so I'm grateful for every single one of you who are tuning in to hear my voice, or to watch the recording, or whenever and wherever you tune in. I salute you and I appreciate you, because this is not a one-man show. This is us consciously and collectively participating, contributing to the unfoldment of this space, to the expansion of this space. So regardless of whenever any one of us is tuning in, we are participating, we are contributing. So I want to absolutely acknowledge that, and I want to absolutely appreciate that. All of us, the work that we're doing, the difference that we're making on the planet in terms of lifting vibration, in terms of expanding consciousness, not only for us as individuals, but for all of humanity. Recognizing from this space of gratitude, I recognize the one presence, the one power. That God is a loving presence, the loving presence that is all, that is in all, and the quote unquote, not quote unquote, but the container of all. Now that's not really accurate. God is infinite and eternal. It has no beginning, it has no ending. But God is the known, the unknown. God is the seen, the unseen. God is the fathomable and the unfathomable. Immeasurable, boundless, limitless. All there is. God is every single star, every single tree, every single leaf, every single drop of water, every single snowflake, every mountain, this very planet and every single planet, the stillness, the silence, the light, the darkness. God is it all. God is all. Which means that right here where we are, we too are God, expressing itself, being itself, doing itself in us and through us. And we, unique, perfect, whole, and complete emanations of the One, regardless of whatever stories we may hold about ourselves, whatever stories we may be telling ourselves about ourselves, or others have told us about ourselves, about who we are and what we're capable of. We and God are one. There's no separation here. There's no division here. There's no diminishment here. There's only God being God. So all of that which God is who and what we are. All of that which God is right where we are. And as God is infinite, it means that we are infinite. As every single possibility already exists in the infinite mind of God, it means that right where we are, we live and move and have our being in a field of infinite possibilities. So I bless us. I bless every single one of us as we're swimming in this field of infinite possibilities, as we are swimming in the field of, in the ocean of freedom, where we get to choose. We get to choose in which direction to move our lives, which choice to make in every single moment. We get to choose. We're not bound by anything. History has nothing on us. Habits have nothing on us. But every single moment is a new, fresh starting point for us, where we get to choose anew, where we get to choose to be reborn again. And we can choose to have the old same being that we have been, the same old version that we've always been. We can choose to have that reborn, or we can choose something else. So I'm blessing the freedom of choice. I'm blessing every single one of us. I'm blessing us, knowing that all is well, right where we are in this moment, in every single moment, that something wonderful is happening in this moment, in every single moment, that everything is working for the highest good in this moment, in every single moment, simply because the only thing that is happening here, the only thing that is here, is God being itself, doing itself in us and through this moment, in us and through us. So I bless us. I give thanks for it, knowing that it's done, and I give thanks for this and so much more, knowing that it is done. Allow it to be. So it is, so be it, so shall it be. All right. So, the topic for today, what are we saying yes to? And for those of you who have followed this podcast, I've shared that in my business, I am partly contracted by a large company here in Sweden as a sales associate, a sales representative. And I've had this contract for a number of years, and it's been very lucrative, and it's been very easy for me to do. I've sort of had a knack for it. With who I am, it's been very easy for me to carry out this contract, to fulfill this contract with such excellence. But gradually, this has not been my life's purpose. I've been not carrying out my mission doing this contract. It's been a beautiful way of moving me to where I needed to go in providing for me and my family in such an abundant way. But it's been somewhat of a soul killer, and especially these last 6 months, it's been sort of sucking the life out of me doing this work that is not what I'm here to do. My mission, my purpose for being here is to be a greater teacher and healer than I've ever imagined. I caught that a number of years ago, and the path toward that intention has been winding, it's been zigzagging, it's been, to my opinionated mind, it's been too slow, it's been very slow. But these last few months, actually, I did not make the choice, but Spirit, God sort of kicked me out of this contract. It has not completely kicked me out, but it sort of, where they used to require my services quite a lot, gradually they have been requiring my services less and less and less. So as I did not dare to make the choice to leave that contract, God made it for me. God made it impossible for me to stay with that contract and still providing for my family. So a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, or even just a week and a half ago, at some point, I made the choice to close that door, to this company, to give to say my goodbyes and give my thanks for this beautiful time that we've had together, and for the opportunities and for the blessings that have flowed through this contract in many ways, shapes, and forms. And when I made that choice, then and only then, I became aware that me having stayed in this position, me having had that door opened, have been me saying yes to that kind of life. And actually, as every yes contains a no, as every yes inherently has a no in it, me staying with that contract was me saying no to stepping fully into being the spiritual teacher that I've for many years said that this is what I'm here to do. So being the spiritual couching well, I've been on the couch coaching and guiding and leading and creating content. That has been on the side. While me having this sales contract has been my primary livelihood. And as long as I kept that primary livelihood, I said no to the teaching and the coaching and the content creation to emerge, to begin to fill the space, to begin to fill my space, to begin to fill the space of livelihood. So when I said no, when I actually did say no to come in and be this sales representative, which I did about a couple of weeks ago, then the rest, what I'm here to do, began to expand. I began to move into, I shedded one sort of skin and I allowed for new skin to emerge, right? So what I'm getting at, and I could have made this choice a year ago or 2 years ago, but I didn't, because there was something within me that didn't believe that I could make that choice. It was not so much about worth. It was not so much about me doubting my abilities or talents, or that I had it within me to step into being a teacher and healer. It was more that I waited for, I needed security blankets, and I needed parachutes, and I needed safety belts to be sure that I was provided for, that God was provided, that my family was provided for, before I could make that choice, before I dared to make that choice. And then God sort of pushed me, kicked me in that direction to the point where I had to make that choice. There was no other choice for me to make. So the choice was always available to me, but I didn't believe that I could make that choice. I didn't trust God enough to make that choice. And by virtue of how the spiritual laws work, how these sacred laws work, that whatever we turn our attention to the most, whatever we think about the most, whatever we talk about the most, whatever we feel about the most, that is what we're calling into our experience. As long as I was, in my mind, primarily a sales representative for this company, the sacred laws could not move into manifestation what my heart desired, because my mind was so turned to me having this function, to me playing this role of this salesperson, and that was who I was. So it was, I'm not going to say that it's been all smiles, because obviously as my life is now shifting dramatically, which is a blessing, there are and I'm choosing to, and I'm moving toward trusting and surrendering more and more, trusting that we are provided for, that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good. Actually, let me back up. I've always known that something wonderful is happening. All through this shift and this transformation that is taking place, I've always known that everything is working for the highest good. But I have not known, I have not felt that all is well. Because I could see myself actually, my mind ventured into the future, ventured into a moment where we perhaps will not be able to sustain our lifestyle, where we perhaps will not be able to stay in this beautiful house or whatever, as the main channel of money was being closed and closed and closed. The main tap through which money flowed was being closed and closed and closed, and the other tap did not open up as quickly as the one being closed. So initially, actually before I made the choice, the weeks in advance, the weeks prior to me making this choice, they were very almost agonizing. There's a lot of turbulence within me. But since making that choice, that's what I'm getting at. Since making that choice, as I took that leap of faith, I now know that all is well. God would not, as a dear friend of mine shared a while ago, God will not put us at the deep end of the pool without making absolutely sure that we have what it takes to stay afloat. That's not how God works. God being the one presence, God being who and what we are, would not put itself in a position where it would go against its own will. And the will of Spirit is always for itself to be revealed in greater and greater ways, to be expressed in greater and greater ways. So that's the will of Spirit. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose of all of life, all of creation has been brought into manifestation for that one purpose, so that God can reveal more of itself, not become more, because God already is all that God is, but to be revealed in ever greater and greater ways. Every single flower, every single blade of grass, or mosquito, or planet, or black hole serves that purpose. So the more of the light, more of the love, more of the harmony, more of the wholeness, more of the beauty of God may be revealed. So that's why we're all here. If we ever have any questions about why we're here, that's why we're here. So that God, to be instruments for Spirit to reveal more of itself, to be vehicles for the ever expansion of God to happen. So God is always for itself. God is always for itself. It cannot contradict itself. It cannot ever be against itself, but it's always for itself, always sourcing and fueling and funding itself, always sustaining and maintaining itself, always guiding and moving and leading itself into that expansion, continuous, eternal, infinite expansion. So God will not ever move us into any space nor place, first of all, where God is not, and second of all, where we are not already possessing everything that we need in every single moment to navigate through that space. So what I believe, if I remember correctly, what came through in the prayer was that it is not ever God. God doesn't ever deny us anything or delay anything, but the only thing that is denying us the good that we desire, the only thing that is keeping the good that we desire away, seemingly away, our own thoughts, our own perceptions, our own beliefs, our own judgments, opinions, stories as to what is possible, what is not possible, like the one I was holding on to. I was clinging to it. I was clinging to the story that I absolutely have to keep this contract for my family to be provided for. That was my story. Now I'm beginning to realize that that's not true at all. Obviously not. There is no lack in God. There is no lack in God. And as we sustain our attention, as we sustain our vibration, taking on the feel and tone that we are sourced, fueled, funded, it doesn't matter if I can't see it on the surface. It doesn't matter if the world shows it to me. But as I know it, as we know it within, as we know it in our minds, as we know it in our heart, the whole universe rises up to meet us there, providing all of that which we need in every single moment. But the question is, what is it that we're saying yes to? And I was saying yes to lack. I was saying yes to limitation. I was saying yes by staying in, by keeping this contract, by not daring to say no to it, by not daring to close that door. I was saying yes to limitation. And ultimately, I was saying no to God expressing itself fully, more fully, in us and through me. I was saying no to following my heart's desire, to doing what I know beyond a shadow of a doubt what I'm here to do. I was saying no to that. Out of fear, out of not trusting Spirit, and also out of a sense that I need to work hard. And that's something that thought form still lingers. I mean, my life has shifted from working long hours, as I did up until a few weeks ago, not only as being the sales representative, but when I got back home from doing that, I had my coaching clients, and I had my the content creation, recording talks and meditations and creating courses and this podcast, obviously. But I was saying no to the fullest expression of that. I was saying no to the highest possibility for me and for my life. And so now that I no longer am spending my time doing sales at all, a lot of time has been freed up. But I can absolutely hear my mind, the thought forms, the habitual mental residue is still there. The echoes from the past are still there, telling me that I need to fill the space. I need to, whenever I have a moment over, I need to do something with that moment. My mind is still in the doing. Absolutely, there needs to be doing. But consciousness always precedes form. So the primary doing is for me to stay in the high vibration, to stay in the consciousness, to take on the knowing and feeling, first of all, that all is well. God is grace. The grace of God is fully given. And actually, grace simply means givingness and givenness. No withholding, no holding back, no asking for anything in return. But God's love, the only love there is unconditional. Like the sun shines on the just and unjust. The shine doesn't care whether or not its warmth, its luminosity is being cherished, is being appreciated, or is being cursed. It doesn't care if anyone cares about the sun at all. But the sun shines regardless, because that's what the sun is here to do. And likewise, we have missions that we are here to do, regardless of what others think of us, regardless of whether or not our gifts are being appreciated or received in a loving manner. And this love, this grace is God's, meaning we do not need to deserve or make ourselves worthy for that which God is to flow into our lives. We do not need to prove ourselves anything. But God, and we obviously I'm using the word God a lot here because I like the word. I like that word. But we can exchange it. We can use whatever kind of word we want to use. We can use divine matrix, we can use infinite intelligence, we can use the unified field, we can use the word love, we can use the word life, we can use the word the universe, or whatever. The word doesn't matter, but this loving presence, withholds nothing, asks for nothing in return. All that Spirit is, all the love, all the peace, all the joy, all the harmony, all the abundance, all the wholeness, all the beauty, it is freely given. God cannot go against itself. God cannot compromise itself. God cannot diminish itself. So the question is, what are we saying yes to? Are we saying yes to lack by the virtue of our choices, the choices that we're making in every single moment? Are we saying yes to lack? Are we saying yes to not enoughness? Are we saying yes to life being hard? Are we saying yes to life being a struggle or an obstacle course? And in saying yes to these, at the back end, we're saying no to ease. We're saying no to grace. We're saying no to flow. We're saying no to abundance. We're saying no to wholeness and harmony. So, the invitation is for us to ask ourselves on a regular basis, this choice that I'm making, or this choice that I'm about to make, what am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to by making this choice? Or another word of asking the question, this choice, what is it in alignment with? Is this choice in alignment with who I wish to be? How I wish to show up? What I wish my life to be about? Or is this choice in alignment with something completely different? And the beauty of being who we are, being made in the image and likeness of Spirit, is that every single moment offers an opportunity for us to make a new choice. We are not ever bound by our past. We're not ever bound by anyone else's opinions of us. We're not ever bound by anything but our own minds and the stories that we tell ourselves about what is possible and what is not possible. I am not, and please hear me, I am not saying that we are to make quantum leaps all of the time and in this moment. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm inviting us to become aware, to observe, to witness what choices we are making on habitual, what choices we are habitually making. What choices are we making on a regular basis as we move through life, as we perhaps go to jobs that we don't want to go to, or go to places we don't want to go to, hang out with individuals we don't want to hang out with. How can we begin to make new choices that actually serve us? Because many of the choices that we're making, and I'm sort of making a general statement here, absolutely knowing that some of us are better at making choices that serve us, and some of us are find it more difficult to make choices that serve us. But still, as a collective humanity, we are making choices that do not serve us in any way, shape, or form, on an individual level and a collective level. So what we're invited to do is to begin to scrutinize, to begin to look at the choices that we're making. Am I making choices that serve me? What is it, by making this choice, what is it that I'm saying yes to? Am I saying yes to more freedom emerging into my life? For more peace to emerge into my life? For more harmony to emerge into my life, or wholeness, or beauty, or love? Or am I saying no to that? This choice, if I continue to make choices that are in alignment with this one choice that I'm about to make, where will it take me? Kind of like when we're out driving Or actually, no. Let me give another example, another metaphor. Imagine an airplane. Actually, let me go back to the car, because I've used that example before and I liked it. Imagine driving on a very, very, very straight road. It's got no curves, it's got no bends, it's got nothing. It's just straight. Let's say that we're traveling through the Sahara Desert, and there's this big old freeway, and it only goes straight. It's a straight line, completely straight. And let's say that this freeway is so wide, it's like a couple of miles wide. If I was driving and just turn the steering wheel 1 degree, eventually, over time, that 1 degree turning of the steering wheel will take me to a completely different destination than had I kept my hands and the steering wheel straight. So just a seemingly tiny choice that is a little bit different from the choices that we have been making will move us in a completely different direction than going straight. So this is not about making dramatic choices all of the time. We don't need to call forth immense and massive demonstrations. That's not what this is all about. This is all about us becoming aware of what choices we are making. What is it that I'm saying yes to? And how can I, if me saying yes to this means that I'm saying no to something that I actually desire and that I feel inspired by, I may be saying yes out of habit, I may be saying yes out of fear, I may be saying yes out of a sense of not being enough, or because I believe that I have to. But what if I just tweak the choice a little bit? What if I made just a little different choice? I don't need to do a 180 and go in the completely opposite direction. But how can I tweak it? How can I begin to lean into saying yes to what I actually do want? How can I begin to tweak and lean into what I want my life to be about? It may be a dream that is buried so deep underneath all of these perceptions that there is not enough, and that oh, I'm too old, and I'm too this, and I'm too that, and I've got the wrong last name, or I've got the wrong skin color, or whatever the case may be, whatever the stories are, whatever the excuses are. When we dig deep down into our hearts, and when we begin to get in touch with our heart's desires, what is it that I'm here for? I'm perhaps not here to go into the office 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. I'm perhaps not here to keep doing what I've always been doing. I'm perhaps not here to keep doing something that brings me no joy at all. So how can I begin to tweak? How can I begin to say yes to what brings me joy? How can I begin to expand the yes that allows for more freedom to flow into my life? And I'm leaving out the details here. The details are for each and every single one of us to fill in. But the bottom line is that we need to ask ourselves, what am I saying yes to? And in saying yes to this, what is it that I'm saying no to? And how can I begin to make choices that are in alignment with my heart's desire? with my passion, and allowing that to expand. Trusting that God is for us every single time. Every road leads to Rome, as the saying goes, which means that every single path leads to God. So there's no choice that we can ever make that does not ultimately bring us closer to God. Yes, we do take detours and we run off into the forest to take a good look at the whatever is in the forest. But ultimately, every single choice serves the purpose of us, humanity, waking up. Every single choice. And this is so this is so for all choices, even the ones that seemingly bring suffering and pain to humanity or to us as individuals. Even those choices ultimately contribute to the awakening of humanity, contribute to the expansion of consciousness. So every single choice, in every single moment, we do have the opportunity to become aware, to stop, become aware, stop, become still. Ask the question, what is it that I'm saying yes to? What is it that I'm saying no to by saying this yes? And what choice can I make that moves me into alignment with what I wish my life to be about? So these are some beautiful questions that we can ask ourselves. And then obviously we need to do some work around self-worth. We need to do some work around, and I was going to say before, whenever we do become aware, and this is very important, whenever we do become aware of having made a choice that perhaps does not serve us, that perhaps is not in alignment with who we wish to be, whenever we become aware of making such choice, we are so wise, and we are all invited to be loving and kind towards ourselves, to not beat ourselves up, to not have opinions about who we are, to not have opinions and judgments about us making that choice, because we made the choice in every single moment. Every single one of us is doing the very best that we know how to do. Every single moment, every single one of us is doing the very best we know how to do, from the level of awareness that we have in that moment. And so whenever we make a lesser choice, whenever we make a choice that perhaps brings us suffering or brings us discomfort or pain, we are making that choice not because we love the suffering, not because we love the pain, not because we are flawed, not because we are faulty, but simply because that was the only choice that we could make in that moment. Had we had a different level of awareness, had we been in a different space of consciousness, we would have made a different choice. So we're so wise always to be loving and kind and compassionate and forgiving towards ourselves, realizing that we are, in every single moment, we are unique, perfect, whole, and complete emanations of God. We are spirit expressing itself. We are learning. We're like children. We're like children learning what it means to wake up, learning what it means to gradually take more and more and more and more responsibility for ourselves, to gradually make higher and higher and higher and more conscious choices where ourselves are concerned and our lives are concerned. So we want to be loving and kind, always and forever. And from that loving kindness, it gets a little bit easier to make new choices, to make higher choices. And this is what it is about. No, I'm not going to go down that. Not today. Maybe some other day. So, I think we're done. We have all been invited to take a look at the choices that we're making, day-to-day choices, moment-to-moment choices, and begin to discern, begin to ask ourselves what we're saying yes to by making these choices, and what we're saying no to, and what choices we can make that are in greater alignment with what we wish to experience in life, what we wish to have our lives be about, that are in greater alignment with who we wish to be, who we wish to show up in life. So I'm going to bless us out, and then we'll say our goodbyes, and then we'll be on our way. Along the path of freedom, along the path of awakening, along the path of being more and more conscious participants of who we are. So in this moment, I invite us to close our eyes, to come back to the breath, and how grateful I am once again. How beautiful it is to be walking this amazing path of freedom. How liberating it is to become aware of what has been running us, of what is running us, and how we can set ourselves free from the small and the limited. How I love the grace and the love of God that inspires us, that empowers us, that supports us, that guides and leads and moves us to continue to walk forward, that continue to walk along the path of freedom, along the path of awakening, that allows us, that gives us permission, that nudges us to continuously allow for greater and greater expressions of who and what we are to emerge, that continuously nudges and inspires us to allow for healing to happen, releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves, recognizing that there is only the one of us here, this loving presence that is God, that is fully present in every space and place and being an object moment, that cannot ever be separated, that cannot ever diminish itself, that cannot ever divide itself, that cannot ever go against itself, but that is always for itself, always seeking to reveal itself in ever more expanded ways, that is always showing up in full, meaning that there's not a little bit of God over here and a little bit more of God over there. That's not how God works, but God is fully present in every space and place, which means that all of that which God is right where we are, because we and God are one. We are one with the one, and we're one with the whole, never separated. There is only absolute oneness in God. There is only absolute unity in spirit. So all of that which God is, all of that which Spirit is right where we are, is who and what we are. It's inherent within every single fiber and cell and function and muscle in our bodies. It is inherent within every single moment and space and place, that there's no space we can ever go where God is not. There's no place we can ever go where the fullness of Spirit is not. There is only absolute oneness here. So I give thanks. I bless us as we move along these beautiful paths of freedom and awakening, which actually are the same path. I give thanks for this and so much more, knowing that it's done, that the highest possibility for each and every single one of our lives is already done. It already is in the infinite mind of Spirit. And this isness, this doneness is now demonstrating and manifesting itself here in this dimension with such ease and grace, through our allowing, through our surrendering, through our not trying to make it happen, but simply making it come. So it is happening now. It is happening now, and it is happening now. I allow it. I give thanks for it. So it is, so be it, so shall it. Amen. Amin, Ashe, Aho, Hotep, Shalom, Salam, and Hallelujah. Amen. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, for participating, for joining me, for the work that you are doing, that we are doing. Until the next time, I absolutely bless our days, and I bless all of our ways. Much love, many blessings. Namaste. You have been listening to an episode of the Path to Freedom podcast with me, Daniel Roquéo. I invite you to stay tuned for more episodes. If you have any questions or comments, or just want to get more inspiration and empowerment, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I also invite you to visit my website, danielroqueo.com. I bless your day, and I bless your way, you beautiful, wonderful being.